In this video, it's the Huawei GT3 Pro versus the Huawei GT2 Pro, but we're mainly going to focus on the upgrades that Huawei have made in 2022. So here's everything you need to know if you're trying to decide between the GT2 Pro and the GT3 Pro, and let's start with the design and material differences. So the main body of the GT3 Pro remains titanium, just like the GT2. And the reason I believe Huawei have stuck with titanium here on the GT3 Pro is because it's as strong as steel, but it's lighter. So no upgrades needed here. However, the weight has increased by 2 grams without the strap, and there's a good reason for this, and I'll come back to this later on in the video. So the body remains the same, but with a slightly different color to the titanium. It's a bit of a lighter gray now, and there's some really nice angles cut into the titanium lugs, which now house additional GPS antennas. And up front is an artificial sapphire glass, which is incredibly resilient and scratch resistant. But check this out, did you know sapphire glass isn't actually glass at all? It's actually a crystalline technical ceramic made of pure aluminium oxide, and it appears clear like glass, but it's not glass. And this is actually the same material used on the GT2 Pro, so again, there's no upgrade needed here. And let me tell you why. To give you some perspective on how tough this sapphire glass is, if a diamond was rated 10 for its hardness, the sapphire glass would be rated 8.5, and that is actually a scientific fact. And if you don't believe me, check out the Mohs hardness scale, MOHS hardness scale, and you will see what I'm talking about. But you won't find me on there, because when it comes to hardness, I'm an 11. So listen here, here's an upgrade that you need to know about. The display is ever so slightly bigger now, this time at 1.43 millimeters with a 466 by 466 resolution versus last year's 1.3 millimeter display on the GT2 Pro. So bigger display, less bezel, and Huawei say it's approximately 21% larger than the previous gen. And the button placements are similar on the GT3 Pro to the previous model. However, the shape and functionality has changed. The lower button is now more of a pill shape, and the power button still functions as a power button, but it's gained a new ability. The button is now a rotating crown with haptic feedback, and it allows you to quickly navigate the Harmony OS user interface, so you can zoom in and zoom out and get a bird's eye view of everything on the watch, and then swoop back down and pinpoint the exact app you were looking for without the need to scroll endlessly through a list. And trust me, with the amount of features available on the Huawei GT3 Pro, you could quite easily be scrolling endlessly. So it's a welcome upgrade in my opinion. Now when it comes to the straps, we have new designs in 2022. At the time of this video, there are 3 variants: the black fluoro elastomer, which is a really cool name for rubber, premium titanium, which comes with a bracelet style strap, and then there's the grey leather one, which is my personal favorite and the one that I have here to show you. And the reason I like this one is because it's not too flashy, but it's still kind of classy. You could definitely wear this with a business suit, and you could also wear this casually, so it's a nice middle ground. It's got a nice bit of stitching and some low-key Huawei branding on the clasp, and brown leather on the inside of the strap, which was likely chosen because it will show less wear and tear than the grey leather. And the quick release catches are present on all of the straps, so swapping wristbands is as easy as it was before. And this does mean you can pretty much attach any watch strap you like as long as it's got a 22mm watch pin. And just like the back of the GT2 Pro, the GT3 Pro is a ceramic, and on the face of things they look almost identical. But don't trust your eyes, because they can deceive you. Search your feelings and you might realize there's a new micro nano optical coating over the ceramic on the GT3 Pro, and this allows for better light transmission, and there's also a new arched 2.5D design on the glass for better contact with the wrist, and it doesn't bulge out quite as far as the previous model, which means it's probably more secure on your wrist too. Now I'm assuming someone's probably already told you this, but it's not what's on the surface that counts, it's what's beneath the sensors, and they count more efficiently than before because there are double the amount of sensors. So health tracking is going to be far more accurate here on the GT3 Pro versus the GT2, and that is a really big upgrade in my opinion. And of course, Huawei have leveled up the software in line with the hardware, so we've got new TrueScene 5.0 plus AI, which is constantly working in the background, making sure the sensors make less mistakes, pick up more precise measurements, so that you can be practically as perfect as possible when it comes to reaching your peak performance. And it'll also tell you when to get off the couch, which is a feature that I learned about pretty quickly. Anyway, you get the general idea. The GT3 Pro is more precise than the GT2 Pro when it comes to pretty much all of the fitness tracking features and the location services as well. And that brings me nicely onto another big upgrade, the built-in global positioning system, otherwise known as the GPS. The GT2 Pro could connect to 2 satellites, GLONASS and Galileo. And what is this? The dark ages, 2 satellites? We need more. And Huawei give you more with the GT3 Pro because it can now connect to 5 satellites. There are 5 satellites supported orbiting the Earth right now. And then when you combine the better antennas built into the watch with those satellites, you've got much better positional tracking. And it's not just location, it's also elevation, distance, your speed and power is constantly being measured. And you guys know I'm a fan of speed and power. And without it, the world would not go round. So anyway, let's talk about power in specific. Just like the GT2 Pro, we still have that legendary 14-day battery life, which puts so many other smartwatches to shame. But the 14 days really is a best case scenario. If you're a real gym beast and you go 7 days a week, every day, twice a day, it might only last you 8 days. But that is still better than most smartwatches out there right now. I believe it's still class leading, and of course there's a lot of variables that could affect the battery life day to day. For example, screen brightness, screen on time, always on displays, amongst other things. But just know this, the battery life is virtually the same as the GT2 Pro. And that's not a bad thing because it's still miles ahead of the competition. But the good news here is the charging speed has increased by 30%. And if you're out of charge, you charge it for 10 minutes, you'll get 25%. That's 25% of 14 days battery, which is still better than a lot of watches at 100%. I think that makes sense. So anyway, check this out. The charging puck provided by Huawei may appear to be the same as the GT2 Pro's puck, but there is a difference in the charging capabilities of the 2 devices. With the GT2 Pro, it's completely dependent on this puck. If you don't have it, you can't charge it. So if you had the GT2 Pro and you lost the puck, you might be like, what am I gonna do now? But if you had the GT3 Pro, you'd be like, because it will work on any wireless charging mat. A little side note though, if you go for the titanium version, you may need to remove the strap entirely to place it on the charging mat because it actually doesn't undo in the middle like the other straps. Now check this upgrade out. The heart rate monitoring is good and it's better than ever thanks to the extra sensors and AI that we've already spoke about. So we already know it's more accurate, but do you know what's better than heart rate monitoring? Electrocardiography. ECG. I think a lot of people don't realize this, but human beings, we run on electric. There is an electric spark that keeps your heart beating, and this feature will help you get a deeper understanding of your heart and its electrical flow in a little more detail. So an ECG, whether that be in a hospital, a doctor's office, or now on your wrist, can give you a bunch of valuable information. For example, it can uncover illnesses such as heart defects, coronary artery disease, heart valve disease, or even an enlarged heart. So if one day you're walking down the street with a box of 12 Dunkin' Donuts and someone says to you, put those down, they're gonna give you a heart attack, you can be like, not on my watch. Okay, all jokes aside, the new ECG is an important feature and a big upgrade because it could save your life, and it is a standout upgrade over the GT2 Pro. At the moment over here in Europe it is in beta, but I'm told that Huawei will be rolling out the software update soon that will unlock this feature on the GT3 Pro. And if you're enjoying this video and you're getting any kind of value out of it, a little digital thumbs up or a subscribe would make my day, and my digital heart will go out to you. So that's the majority of the upgrades that you should know about if you're trying to decide between the 2 of these. But before you go, let me address some of the most frequently asked questions that I get about smartwatches. So can you customize watch faces? Yes, you can. You can use a photo, or you can access a ton of free and paid watch faces via the Huawei Health app. Can you use this with an iPhone? It absolutely works with an iPhone. I would say 95% of the features will work perfectly. There are some restrictions, for example, transferring music from an iPhone onto the watch doesn't work, and third-party apps are not fully supported on iOS. Can you take and make phone calls on the watch? Yes, you can. You have Bluetooth calling because there is a built-in speaker and a mic. Does it show notifications? It does show notifications, and they're actually categorized now. So for example, if you get a Twitter notification, you can actually expand all of your Twitter notifications. Will it work with third-party fitness tracking apps like Strava? It's good news here because you can download a health sync app, which actually migrates the data from the watch to the Strava app if you're using Strava. So take a look at the app, make sure your favorite health tracking app is supported. if that's important to you. But this is my personal opinion. If you're not locked into a particular health tracking ecosystem and you're quite open-minded about it, you should definitely take a look at the Huawei Health app. It will not disappoint you. Everything is nicely laid out and easy to understand. There's a ton of easy to access information and even expert health advice available right there at your fingertips. It really is fantastic. And way back when I had the original press briefing about this watch, Huawei mentioned they actually have a complex somewhere in China, like a sports facility, where they test all of the fitness tracking on their watches versus proper heart rate straps and stuff like this. So they've got football grounds, tennis courts, climbing walls. But what I want to know, do they have a laser tag room? And if they do, Huawei, where's my invite? And if you guys want to go a bit more in depth with the features, I made a review of the Huawei GT3 Runner, which is essentially the same watch in a different shell. That thumbnail is on screen right now. Go check that out. There's a lot of stuff mentioned in that video, which I didn't cover in this video at all. And I appreciate you guys for watching this one. And if you just subscribed, you're now one of the finest subscribers known to man. And I will see you in the next one. So don't be late.